Hey everybody, welcome back to the farm. So we're back in Georgia from Ohio. Everything went great up there. Got the girls dropped off, got to the auction. The auction was a huge hit. A lot of you guys loved the auction, and I wish I lived a lot closer to it so I could get a lot more auction footage because you guys really seemed to like that stuff. Back at the farm, the truck did great going up there and back. It was really nice being able to not have to worry about having enough power and the safety and all that type of stuff. But anyway, got up there, got them dropped off. Again, the weather was horrible. It rained the entire way. We got up there and everything was dark. There was no street lights, there was no house lights, really no house numbers, so I actually missed their house. I made it to their house, but I missed the barn. So I ended up pulling into the dairy barn across the street, which was still their farm. And then when I went to get Grace off the trailer, she just stood at the back of the trailer and looked out into the darkness, and it took her a couple of minutes, but we finally got her off, and then Gene just came right on off. And then he had two dogs that were blue heeler crossed with Australian Shepherd. And they were running around, and I was kind of scared about bringing the girls off and just having them on a lead rope in the total darkness with dogs running around. And if they pulled away, they were going to run off into the dark, and they had no idea where they were going. And the Amish guy assured me that they would be fine, and got them off the trailer, and they didn't even care that the dogs were there. So it worked out real good. Once we got them across the street over to the barn was completely dark as usual. And there was 12 horses inside the barn, and they were all whinnying into the darkness, and the girls didn't like it. But we finally got them in their stalls and got them settled. And then the next morning we got them over to a stall with water after they got all the horses out and got them over to the auction. They sold 7 horses at the auction. One team of blacks brought $12,800, and one team of blacks brought $40,000. I showed you that in last week's video. Then they had 3 Belgians that had gotten shipped over from Pennsylvania, and by the time we got there in the morning, they had already gone through. So I have no idea what those horses brought. And they started training last Monday. So they've been in training about a week and a half. I doubt very seriously I will hear anything from them until I reach out to them. He may send me something at the end of the month, but I really don't expect to hear anything until I reach out to him. So they'll be up there for another 6 weeks or so, and then we'll evaluate it and see if they're ready to bring home. And if they're not, then they'll stay there for an additional 2 weeks or something along those lines. So we're going to bring Jule and Becky over and get them in the stalls, and so we'll go over here and open up the alleyway and get the girls across. Today is sunny and 70 degrees, but it's windy, which you can probably hear. And I think these mature women here are really enjoying not having the 3-year-olds here just bugging the crap out of them, because they were constantly having to adjust the young girls' attitudes. And I think they're just enjoying not having the harassment of the young girls, because they could be pretty bothersome. Now, Becky, who is on my right over there, she has really been connecting with me in the weeks that the girls have been gone. She is always greeting me at the gate and following me up the driveway in the car. And she never was able to do that before because the young girls were always there first. But she's really become quite affectionate. And then of course, Jule is just rock steady. Nothing phases her. Come on, ladies, let's go eat. They are really shedding their winter coats. I'm brushing quite a bit of hair off of them. Good girls, ladies. So if you've been following along, this is Jule, and she is about 18 years old. Don't know exactly how old she is, but we're estimating her at about 18. The guy that I got her from told me she was 16, but he didn't have anything to document that. So we just aged her and kind of verified it that, you know, she was roughly that age. But she's a good girl. And I am thinking about moving this team on because the young girls, the 3-year-old team, will be back. And I knew that when I got this team that I was just going to use them temporarily until the other girls came back from training. So they're up in Ohio right now plowing for the spring and spreading manure and that type of stuff. So they will, I'll be focusing all of my energy and all my effort on them once they get back. And I bought this team just to drive and to work with the young girls until I got the young girls back. So I really don't need 4. And this is a good team that can still be used for stuff, but like I said, I'm going to be focusing all my energy on the 3-year-olds, and this team's just going to end up sitting. So they're going to end up going for sale. They're both 17-1 and about 1,750 pounds. They're broke to all farm equipment. They're traffic safe. Nothing really phases them at all. They're currently barefoot, but they get trimmed every 7 weeks. Amish farrier comes down from Indiana and trims them because we got a bunch of prima donna farriers around here. Nobody wants to do draft horses. So Indiana farrier decided that he would get an English driver to bring him down here, and he goes all the way from Indiana to Ocala, Florida, and then starts working his way back up. Hits people in South Georgia and then North Georgia, and then heads on up into Tennessee. I think he does a Clydesdale farm up in Nashville. And he does about 70 horses, and he'll be here from Monday through Thursday and head back on Friday. And he comes down every 7 weeks. And I would much rather have him doing the girls than an English farrier, just because he grew up around them. He's not afraid of them. So like I said, nothing phases these girls. You know, you're not afraid to go behind them. Not afraid to go not afraid to go under them. A little old for that. But nothing bothers them. They're just good girls. But they're broke to all farm equipment. They're traffic safe. They are, dogs don't bother them. Nothing really bothers them. They're a real well matched team. Like I said, 17-1, 1,750 pounds. They do great. A few weeks ago, I posted a 5-minute video of the girls driving. It'll either be in this video or linked at the end, is what I'm trying to say. So, and you can see these girls driving and see how well they do. Now, Becky here, or Jule here, I've had her, I think, coming up on 2 years, I think. They drive single and double. They don't need stocks to trim. They pick their feet up, and they're a real well matched set. They walk about the same pace, and they know what to expect. It's funny, you take them on a route, and on about the third time on that route, you don't even have to drive them. They'll just go on the route that they already know that you're going on. So they're fully vaccinated. All their dental's done. Vaccinated to include strangles, even though we don't really have strangles down here. I knew the young girls were going up to Ohio, and I know a lot of Amish horses seem to get strangles, so I just wanted them to be vaccinated for it, and you have to pay for that extra. I know my buddy's horses, he got a team of horses from the Amish, and 2 weeks after he got them home, I think one of them got strangles. They might have both got strangles, but anyway, I didn't want to take any chances. I'll take you over and show you Becky in just a minute. Jule does have scratches on her front right foot and her front left foot. We had a lot of rain, a lot of cool mornings. You ask 10 people what they do for scratches, you'll get 10 different answers, no different than anything else. But what I have found is working the best on her scratches is just iodine. This is a betadine bottle, but it's iodine in here. And what I do is I just put it on her scratches I just pour it in my hand and just wipe it on her wound. And then wipe it on the scratches rather, and then I just let it dry and I just leave it on there. I don't try to wash it off after 10 minutes or anything. I just leave it on there, and it really seems to be drying it up, and it's scabbing up, and then when you're combing it, the scabs are just combing out. And she's very tolerant of me doing it. It feels good to her. So I need to put some on her real quick before we move over to Becky. And all I do is just pour it in my hand and just kind of feel where the scratches is, and then I just massage it in. I've been battling this ever since I've had her, and nothing has worked. I have done everything that the comments have said, and nothing has worked. So I started doing this betadine, or iodine rather, probably a month ago, and have gotten incredible results. And like I said, I'm just putting it on and leaving it on, and it works great. I know some people will say probably you shouldn't leave iodine on, you should wash it off and then dry it off, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've done all of the remedies and all the witchcrafts and all the hocus pocus, and nothing has worked. This works the best, so this is what I'm staying with. She's still a great brood mare. I've tried to breed her last year. I'd left her open this year, but I tried to breed her last year, and if you remember, if you've been watching, we ended up breeding her with what I'm still saying was a dirty stallion. She was clean. the vet cleaned her and did an ultrasound before we took her over. And she was pregnant, but she ended up getting a uterine infection and ended up losing it. And we sent the culture off to UGA, and it came back as strep from dead skin. And I talked to the breeder, and the breeder said she never cleans her stallion and she never has an issue. So the vet thinks that she got smegma from the stallion, but the breeder doesn't want to fess up to anything. So I didn't take the horse back and subject her to another uterine infection. She had to go on a round of antibiotics, and then I just left her open this year just because I knew I was doing other stuff with the babies. And this is Becky. She's a 14-year-old registered mare. Again, 17-1, 1,750 pounds. And she is shedding just like Jule is. This warm weather in March is just throwing all the plants and everybody off kilter. I think they're shedding a little early, but they're shedding it all at once. She foaled last year. We did not breed her this year, left her open. But she foaled last year. This is the horse I got from my Amish buddy in Ohio. They got her as a foal out of Canada and used her for the first 13 years. And then I got her, and I've had her for coming up on a year. And I wasn't planning on getting her, but my Amish buddy said that he knew I needed a teammate for Jule and that I was looking for one. So I went up there and got her because I knew her. I had driven her on previous trips up to Ohio, and I knew that she was a good horse. So she has been real good down here. We weren't real sure how the Georgia heat was going to affect her, but when I went up to Ohio to get her, it was just as hot and just as humid up there as it was down here, so I knew she was going to be just fine. But she has a cyst on her ovary, and it is hard for her to conceive, so sometimes she has to be bred multiple times in order to conceive. So I, not having a stallion, I just didn't want to make several trips to the breeder, so I just left her open. And I knew that the girls were going to be coming back, which is what I said earlier. And I knew that these girls were going to be short-lived here at the farm because I was going to be focusing all the energy on the babies, which means that I would have to keep her until, well into the summer. And I still very well may do that. But if somebody wanted to take her and use her for this summer, I wanted to be able to have her open so that I could move her on. But she is registered. Jule is not registered. She is 14 and Jule is 18. And you will see in the video, if you didn't see it, you'll see in the video how well matched they are and how well they drive together and how they step together, and they're, one's not long strided while one's short strided. They're both very evenly matched, and they do very, very well. We don't have any flies yet here, but they're coming, I promise you. Not looking forward to fly season, and I'm sure they're not either. Back. Let me get Jule out. So that's kind of my routine every day. I'd come over here and take care of these girls and do this with them and They like to just come over here into the barnyard and eat for a little bit. Grass is coming in really nice. There's a horse farm through the woods over there, and they'll go over there and stand at the fence and look at the horses that they can see through the trees. Another video I did was right back here in these woods. There's an old home site back here, and I called it Lost History, and I'll link it to the end of this video as well. And I found an old home site. I found the hand dug well. I found the remnants of a hackney wagon, and I found a wired bottom plow out of Batavia, New York. Very interesting. So I reached out to a local historian here and asked him if he had any information on the house, and he said no. I went over to the University of Georgia this morning, and I was able to find in the map section at the library, I was able to find a photograph of the farm in December of 1939. It's an aerial photograph, so when you try to zoom in on it, it's very pixelated. You can see the house, that home. None of the trees were there. I guess they just eventually stopped maintaining it, and it started growing up in weeds and trees like everything does. And now there's just this little stand of trees right here. But in the photo from the 30s, the house was standing right there, and you can see the field out to the front and the field out to the back. And it's pretty interesting. The house that's out front that was built in 1952, that was this landowner's, that house wasn't there. And there's a big oak right there, and there's another big oak over right here. And those trees were not planted yet in 1939, which I was really surprised, because this is all ag right out here. So I'll put these girls up for sale, but I'll continue to drive them until the girls get back from Ohio. They have worked with the young girls quite a bit, but it's hard to video that when you're out here by yourself and trying to keep everything in the frame. So I didn't get a lot of footage of that type of stuff. But when I go back up to Ohio to pick the girls up, I'm going to be there for a middle day. So I'll drive up on one day, and then I'll have a middle day there where I'm on the ground with the girls, and then I'll bring them back the third day. So the Amish guys will be working them, so we'll actually be able to go out in the field with them and get a whole video of those girls working as 3-year-olds together, which is going to be pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited about that video. And then we got the video coming up of the sickle mower, because I got to get the sickle mower for when the girls get back. I don't know if they're going to get them on a sickle mower up there, because they're not going to be in hay season yet. And they'll be just coming into hay season about the time I pick them up. So there may be a little bit of sickle mower work before they come home, but I don't think so. But a lot of manure spreading, a lot of plowing, and some planting as well. So not sure what that video will entail, but it'll be a good video nonetheless. And I'll be able to see their farm during the day. I think they have a milk cow operation, so I'll be interested to see that and try to get some of that on video. I saw a lot of young milk cows, so I'm assuming that they have a milk cow operation. So everything is really greened up out here on the farm, as you saw. A nice windy day. And the windmill, the water trough's only about half full. So let me turn this back on, get it filled up. Took her a second to start spinning, but I knew she'd start spinning with as much wind as we got out here. So got a lot of pollen as well, and a lot of folks with allergies. I'm sure it's probably across the nation. But appreciate you watching this week, and we'll get these girls out next week under a 4-cart and get them out for a nice spring drive. So appreciate you watching again, and as always, remember who you are, be kind to those around you, and stand up for what you believe in.